that was actually a trick question. Feel free to laugh.
Yo, that shit was fucking hilarious, bro.
Okay, now that you're back, and I've got your attention, I actually have tempo squats. No longer a pause at the bottom, just a 2 count tempo going down. Could probably stretch that out looking at the footage as a whole. I think this first set was fine, but coming up on the second and third set, I think it was a little fast. If you had to count it out like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, it probably is 2 Mississippi, but I'd rather have that 2.5 count just so I have breathing room on either end and really try to take it slow and controlled. That first set was 375. I thought I had moved up to like 384 or something, but I actually misloaded. It wasn't terrible. I only misloaded about 10 pounds extra, so this was 396. I was expecting a slightly lighter weight on my back, so this felt really awkward, and I was disappointed by how it moved up until I saw the amount of weight that was on it. Really, it just makes a big difference if you're mentally prepared for specific weight or not. This right here I think is around 407. Let me check. Yeah, I think it was around 407 or so. Alex gave me a cap, and this is a weight just right below, like it's 2.5 kilo below the max cap that he gave me, and felt pretty comfy, honestly.
Cover all 9,000 taste bud. Aerate it. Warm it up. Driving up that top note, that cream, pure vanilla, sweeteners. That's a 10.
Yeah, I was just so dead after that last set. Technique felt very off. Looking at the footage, it's very comparable to the previous weeks where squat has felt good. So the fact that technique feels off, even though it technically isn't, is a pretty big indicator of fatigue, as what Alex kind of told me because we talked about it. And fatigue just kind of accumulates week by week, and then suddenly it all hits you at once. At least that's how it is for me when I'm training. I don't really feel that tired on any specific week up until like the last week of a block or something like that, or typically it'll become the last week of a block because I get so tired after like 8 or 9 weeks of training. It all just comes crashing down. So this whole week in general, I felt just extremely fatigued. I still kind of feel that way, and today is Monday. This last set, by the by, yeah, no knee sleeves. I just kind of forgot to plop them back on. I was just kind of out of it at this point. But yeah, the normal back offs that I usually do. Moving on to bench, literally have only one set to show because that pain in my elbow pits is back. Again, I think it has to do with my grip and probably how I flare my elbows and how I touched my chest, as well as how I come off my chest. But it was really, really bad, so I ended up only doing this first set, and it felt horrible. I get to the bottom, and I feel as if I lose all the tightness, and it's very hard to like come back up just due to the pain. Yeah, bench is again not in a good spot. We'll leave it there. We'll see what happens this following week with the deload and the week after once we start reintroducing it. Here are deadlifts. Top set of 4. I think this was 507. Rated this as a 7.5. I really wanted a 7, but I'm just so fatigued at this point in training, and I just went for it. The last rep is probably the most blatant, where yeah, everything kind of slows down and the lockout isn't super smooth. This is the first set of 6. I think this was originally supposed to be 4 sets of 6, but since I was feeling so tired and everything in the beginning of the week, Alex has kind of cut volume in half. This is supposed to be like 447 or so on the bar. It's moving alright, but I'm feeling it a lot in my lower back. My legs, everything else feels perfect, and I can really just get the bar off the floor pretty easily with no issue. But then when it comes to lockout, I just have like no more energy in my back. I keep talking about my back, but that's really what's holding me back. I think the second set here was In terms of technique, the best so far maybe in this whole block in general, which is weird, right? Because I'm at my most tired and everything. I'm pretty much spent. But this is around rep 4. Yeah, is when I start struggling a lot with that lockout. Coming off the ground feels really good just because I'm doing a really good job of pulling the slack out. And right there around rep 5, I'm just like, there's no way I can do a 6. So I end up doing basically what's called a cluster set, where I do like 5 reps and then I do 1 extra. So it's like 5 plus 1. On a technicality, this was probably technically a set at RP 10, but here's the last rep. It's pretty easy once I managed to, take a break from my back. But yeah, I closed it out, I guess. This is day 5. Instead of what do you call it, low bar squat, we're doing high bar because my upper back, my shoulders, my collarbone, they've been feeling it for a while just from low bar squatting, because I tend to just put a lot of pressure on those joints to keep the bar in position. High bar is a lot easier in that way, and I was actually pretty surprised at how well high bar moved, because I haven't lifted or squatted high bar for about since I started training, so it might be like 2 or 1.5 years, but it felt really, really good, especially on my upper back. I recorded 2 sets. I had 2 sets of 6 with 370 and then 2 sets of 5. I just ended up recording the 2 sets of 6. They were around like RP 5.5, RP 6, which actually makes it almost as strong, well, as strong as my low bar squat for now. I think if we were just to look at like the estimated 1 rep max, although I don't think that would really be the case. I do think my low bar is a little stronger. I was feeling it in my knees especially. I guess that kind of makes sense. I feel like my knees do travel a little more forward, and because it ends up being a more quad dominant movement, I'm forcing a lot of the pressure onto the knees. But yeah, last set went pretty well, and it felt pretty nice squatting high bar. Next up is bench. Nothing crazy. It was just a 2x3 at RP 5 with a 3 count pause. I can say for sure these aren't 3 count pauses. At most they're 2 count. It really, when you're under the bar, it feels like a long time, but you should probably just say you think you pause for 3 seconds, add another half second or second to that, and that will probably be the actual count you're aiming for. Felt alright. One thing I was doing was internally rotating my wrists so I can create a bit more elbow flare. I think for this to really work a bit more, I actually need a slightly closer grip. We're just going to keep on experimenting. I have 4 months till my meet, and yeah, lots of time to fix a lot of things. See you guys when I see you.